He's been the technical backbone for supporting me with my socials. Excuse me. And this podcast wouldn't be possible if it weren't for his programming support. So thanks again, Ken. I really appreciate everything. And Ken's on standby in case I crash here, and we'll temporarily go off and go from there. Hold on, there's no audio. I think there should be audio. Okay. All right. Okay. So next up, we have no sound. Uh-oh. Okay, no sound. Let me check. It's working now? Okay, it's working now. Let me just message. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure. Is there sound, Ken? Excuse me, guys. Just making sure. Can sound. I want to make sure here, guys. 1 second. Texting. And just doing a quick little sound check, guys. Want to make sure. Okay, good. All right, awesome. Okay, so here we go. And all right, here we go. All right, next up, we have a special guest. We have a special guest, a prominent international karate influencer and karate resource. He has built a comprehensive website, IainAbernethy.com, a karate cell phone app, applied karate bunkai app, and he can be found in all socials, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. He's the author of several books, one of which I own, the Bunkai Jitsu one. I highly recommend that one, and Mental Strength. He's hit the international seminar circuit too, spreading his holistic and versatile approach to practical karate. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen, Iain Abernethy. Good morning.
Morning.
How you doing?
How are you?
How's everything?
Good, thank you. Yeah, I'm in the car because the house is too noisy because the kids, and my neighbour's just started cutting his grass. So if there's a slight hum in the background, that's what it is. Yeah.
It's all good too, and my apologies too. There's going to be I'm in my house right now, and I have my family here, but I told them about this event, so they're going to do the best they can. And my daughter might video bomb this at some point. She has a habit of popping in, which is all good. But all right. So for those of you who don't know, Iain Abernethy, right here, right beside me. Iain, if you could kindly just maybe say a few things about yourself and tell us about some of the contributions that you've done for the martial arts world. Go ahead.
Well, so my name's Iain Abernethy. 49 years old. Born in Manchester. The whole family from Cumbria, just under the Scottish border. So I've lived here for all but 3 years of my life. Started karate at 11 years old. And the bug bit, realised this is my thing. This is what I want to be good at. I suppose the reputation I've developed, like from the 2000s, I wrote my first book, was looking at the traditional martial arts as applied to modern day self-defense. So I've written about that, produced quite a few DVDs on it. The app is probably the most prolific thing I've done. Thousands of hours of content in there. And as you say, I travel, or did, at all this hit, I did travel.
Oh, cool. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at an error message here. Okay, we're back. We got dropped for a second, but I think we're back now. But yeah, I've been wanting to join some of your seminars, and it's just the timing has just been off. But next time you come to Toronto, I'll definitely be there. And I'm planning to go to the UK next year and visit some friends and perhaps do a seminar. I don't want to announce anything yet because of this whole situation, but the plan is to come to the UK next year, so we'll definitely connect.
Yeah, that'd be good. It'd be lovely to meet in person. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. You know, from just to tell you, like your IainAbernethy.com website, I'm really impressed with the way you organized it, and also, I mean, that has made me contact with so many of my good friends now. Like I think 10 years ago, maybe a little longer. I met, well, actually I met Jamie Clubb before that, but Jamie and I got in touch more through your website. And then I met John Titchen through your website. And then Andy Allen as well. So like it was it was amazing. So thank you so much for that. I mean, I have lifelong martial art friends now because of you and your work. So
well, that was part of the vision. Was it to be a hub, a sharing hub, where like-minded people could meet, you know, and it's always done that. So I'm really honoured to have my name at the top of it, but it's definitely a community effort. It's the forum of it.
Oh, 100%. So we're gonna begin. I have a question here that actually I'm gonna give a shout out to Chris Wilder. Chris and I spoke I think about 2 weeks ago, and he opened when I was on his podcast. He opened with this question that I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure what was the purpose behind it, but it's to bring out like a how could I say oops, what happened here? Can you hear me, Ian? Ian? Oh shoot. Okay, 1 second. Hold on. Okay, Ian, can you hear me? Shoot. Okay. Ian? Okay. Okay, 1 sec. 1 sec. Yeah, I'm going to call you back. One second. I'm just going to talk to Ken, just make sure that, are we still connected? Question mark. Just want to make sure that just want to make sure that that's happening. And
I'm clever about this.
Just to let you know, guys, this is a team effort. So we've got Ian in the UK, and we've got Ken Knight from the US. He's my tech support right now, so I'm just making sure that we are still okay. And I'm just waiting for a message here. We'll get through this. I'm sure you're tired of hearing that. We'll get through this.
It'll be worth it when we run.
Yeah. Okay, just want to make sure that.
Okay. It's a rare sunny day, and it just popped up with a message on it saying emergency overheating.
Okay, awesome. All right, so we are up again. Okay, so I am just going to minimize you here, and all right, good stuff. Okay, so here we go. One more time. Let's. Okay, so Chris Wilder. Sorry, guys, about that technical glitch. Chris Wilder. If you don't know him, all of the links to pretty much Ian's stuff and my materials and this and that will all be in this video. It's going to be published as a YouTube live stream as one big package. I guess it's going to be about an hour long worth of footage here, so it'll all be there available to you on YouTube. And then I'm also going to give Ian a copy of this video too for him for his editing or just to keep for a keepsake. Okay, so Chris Wilder, he asked me this question and he opened with this, and I'm going to open this to Ian. So here we go, Ian. What room in your house brings you the most happiness, and why?
The place that I like to relax in the most is the shed, which would have been the other thing for this. I have a shed in the garden. There's no electricity in the shed. It's so that I can't take the device in with me. It's just a nice place to relax and gather my thoughts. But strictly speaking, that's not in the house. If it's in the house, then the place would be my daughter's bedroom, because we often play in there. So, you know, imagine we're climbing mountains and rocket ships and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
This tool shed thing seems to be a thing now, because Andy Allen actually likes his shed too. So I wonder if you influenced him or he influenced you. I don't know if you've seen
I,
Andy's shed. His shed's like a house.
Yeah, mine isn't. I think it's just one of these. Men of a certain age need a shed.
Yeah. That's cool. And yeah, and we've talked about that too in private messages, like you were telling me about your shed. I can't say mine is the shed because it's pretty cooped up in there and it's hot and it's stacked with stuff. So it's definitely not the shed for me. But all right, great. Next question. Why karate? Like of all these other arts out there, how come you chose karate? I'd love to know your journey.
Yeah, no, I didn't really. I decided that I wanted to learn martial arts, but I hadn't quite decided on which one. Interestingly, my vague idea originally was I want to do judo and karate. So I had this idea of trying to do a bit of both. But there was a friend of mine that I went to school with who trained at a karate club. So when I decided and I really was going to go along to a class, I asked Martin, where does you train? So I went along to his club. If he had done jiu-jitsu, I'd be doing jiu-jitsu now, or kung fu I'd be doing. It just so happened that I knew a guy who went to a karate class. I went there and I enjoyed that class, And then years later, his children just started training with me. So it's funny how this cycle goes, But that's all it was. I didn't sit down and plan it or pick them all out. I knew I wanted to do some form of martial art. A friend of mine I knew was already doing them. So I said, what are you doing and where? And I went along. I was just really lucky that it happened to be a really good club. So as a result of that, I stayed there and, well, forever.
This was and what style was that you started in?
Yeah, it was Wado. So in this part of England, so like northwest, you tend to get this thing where like original instructors set up camp, and then pretty much everybody in that area is a student of theirs or a student of a student of theirs. So in this part, there was two main Wado instructors. One being Doug James, who was my instructor. The other one being a guy called Walt Seaton, also a very well-respected instructor. So if you wanted to do karate in this part of the world, and it's pretty much still the same to this day, really, you're going to be doing someone with a Wado background, even if they're not doing pure classical Wado. So.
Nice. And I'm assuming you were young, like maybe 10, less than 12 years old when you started.
Yeah, I think 11. I think
11. Oh, okay.
So there or thereabouts, based on the school year. I can't remember the exact date, but it was around there. 11, nearly 12.
I started around the same. I started when I was 10 years old. Yeah. And so I guess this question, I was going to ask you about your favorite part of karate, but I'm going to assume that there's pretty much everything, right? But I guess let me rephrase. Well, I'm going to ask it anyway. Your favorite part about karate and what keeps you consistent? What keeps you driven? What keeps it part of your life? I'm interested in knowing that too, because I'm sure we'll share a lot of similarities there. So go ahead.
If you mean part as in which component do I enjoy the most, you'd be completely right. That
which aspect?
I'd struggle with that. So if you went like, do you like sparring most or kata most or bag work most? It's difficult because I enjoy all of them for different things. But the thing I do enjoy about karate is that it is multifaceted. There are all these different elements to it. So someone who's got a relatively short attention span, the fact that there's a lot of it you can go at, there's a lot you can improve at, there's a lot of it you can explore. That's what I really like about it. It's very multifaceted. I can work on self-defense techniques, outsparring another person, throwing, kicking, punching, fitness and conditioning, history, art. There's just so many different elements to it that I find it's just got a beautiful, deep texture. And I think that's what keeps me going. There's always something new to learn. I learn something new every week.
Yeah, and that's one thing. That's one thing that's really refreshing to see. The whole idea. I want to just capitalize on that. You learn something new every week. I'm telling you right now, just that alone shows maturity. It shows a growth mindset. I mean, trust me, I wasn't like that before. Like, I want to be honest. Like, I'd say about maybe 25 to 30 years ago, I was kind of stuck in just technical development and I was just in my lane, but it's amazing that the people that you meet along the way, and in particular, one of my senseis, Vic Arnold, he's passed away now. He just says, listen, man, if you, the only way you're going to find something is if you're looking for it. Right. So, I mean, it's so simple, right? So, I mean, I'd like to maybe pick your brain on that. Like the fact that you're saying, you learn something new every week. I'm assuming that you're doing that because your mind is open and you're looking for new things. Is it?
Yeah, and there's definitely that element to it. I want my karate to get better. I think that there are some who get to a certain point where they take a comfort in thinking they know it all. Because but I've never I've always likened it to like your favorite TV show. So like when it ends, there's almost that sense of disappointment. Oh, I was really enjoying that. Well, I don't want karate to do that for me. I don't ever want to think I've done it. So the fact that there are so many elements to it is what I really like about it. When you do get some people like, oh, I've learned all the katas, I know everything there is to know.
Yeah.
I always put Utsuka. So I started in Wado. Utsuka was the founder of Wado. In his book, he talked about Nahanshi Kata. This guy was a master grade in jiu-jitsu before he even took up karate. So a really experienced martial artist. And he was talking about Nahanshi, shortest kata we do. And he said, there is something profoundly deep about this kata. It will take more than a lifetime to master. So a guy who's a master in two separate arts, it says the shortest kata he knows will take more than a lifetime to master. So anyone who thinks they know it all, you don't.
Oh no!
I hope the illusion brings you comfort, but you don't.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm willing to say, that what I don't know can fill a couple of galaxies. You know what I mean? and it's simply because of experience, man. Like I travel and train internationally and locally, and I'm blessed to meet some amazing people that just simply humble me on the mat. When you like for instance, like really quickly, I trained 14 years in Shorin-ryu, and then in the mix, I think I spoke to you about this. I'm not sure. I met a JKD guy who was a boxer, and he just lit me up in 30 seconds. I was just done, and I had to. That really changed my karate because it brought in alive elements and things like that. And so anyway, this is not about me. This is about you. So I just wanted to ask you. Okay, so I think we can all say, guys, that we're watching here, that if you've been in karate for at least a couple of years, let's just say you reach your 10-year mark, at some point in time, you're going to reach a training plateau. And I know I have. And what I mean by plateau, a training plateau could be experienced by anyone really. But for me, a training plateau would be, a situation where, you put in a lot of time and effort, you put in all your reps, you're so familiar with your curriculum that you're kind of getting bored and unmotivated. So I've reached that stage many times, and I'm not going to share with you how I've broken out of it. Maybe I'll talk about it after. But Iain, I'd like to know, have you reached the training plateau at some point? And if so, what does that mean to you, and how have you transcended that?
Yeah, so I think that was more of a thing that used to happen. Obviously, I don't mean I'm continuing improving at a rate, but in the past, I would reach points where training this isn't fun anymore. I don't feel I'm progressing anymore. I'm not enthused about it. And for me, I think if you've got the motivation, then that's a luxury. What you really need is a self-discipline. If you just keep going, you'll invariably keep making improvements. But what I try and do is when I start to get that feeling of I'm not enjoying this, you think, okay, well, how can I switch my training up so I start enjoying it again? And again, I think that's a wonderful thing about karate. So let's say I've been doing a lot of bag work and I start to find it a bit monotonous. Right, I'm going to go work my grappling a bit more, and I'll ease back on the bag work that little bit. Or if I've been exploring a particular kata and I feel I'm getting a bit stale with it, okay, I'll leave that one. I'll come back to it in 2 weeks. I'm going to go and move away and do something else. So for me, it's just trying to keep moving around. So I'm going forwards, but not always in the same lane.
Yeah, I just want to just point something out that I really liked, that I've just taken that break. To me is a great solution. So what I'm getting from your answer is, like, how you shuffle things around and you come back. I think, like, I didn't, no one told me that. I just kind of did it by mistake. And it's kind of like writing too. Like I'm a school teacher, and I teach, one of the subjects I teach is literature and language to elementary school students here in Toronto, Canada. And I always tell my guys, when we're writing, I say, look, sometimes you'll get a writer's block, right? So jot down what you're thinking at the time and just take a break from it. Just let life happen, go off and do your thing. And then when you come back, you revisit it with a fresh lens, and trust me, some magical things happen when you come back and take a break. When you take a break and come back from it, you you're refreshed. So, I mean, do you feel the same way with your karate?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, definitely. You know, but then the nice thing about it is because it's all interrelated. So, say for example, I'm getting bored of doing kata, so I decide, you know, I'm enjoying bag work. I'll do a little bit more of that than I have been doing. While I'm doing that bag work, I'm still working on my explosiveness and the movement. So when I go back to the kata, the explosiveness that the bag work has developed will improve the kata. You know what I mean? So it's all kind of intertwined anyway. It's not like if you put something to one side, you suddenly stop improving on that thing. And I think it's like in physical training, you know, they always advise that if you're training in one very specific way repeatedly, it can limit your training. You know, they always talk about confusing the body, you know, and I think you've got to do the same thing mentally as well. Just keep mixing up that little bit, but you still got those central threads that you're progressing along. You know, so it's got to be fun. If it's
Right.
not fun, people won't do it. You know, I mean,
It's true.
you can push through for a while, but at some point there's got to be, yeah, I enjoyed that. And if you're missing that, you've got to find how we're going to get that back.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I see that I see that in the school environment I'm in right now. I mean, kids are hooked on things that they have fun with, and you know, we're basically given specific directives to make the curriculum entertaining. You know, and I mean, you know, without watering it down, of course, but
Yeah.
you know, that engagement piece is important. I think for all assets of activities, and definitely the martial arts. So no,
Yeah,
for sure,
one of
good
my
point, man.
yeah, totally agree. One of my instructors had a great phrase where he said, and he was an excellent teacher, and he said, a good teaching is 80% training, 20% entertaining. You know, which I always really liked. You see, so at the seminars, you know, people know I'll do this. I'll start telling stories and jokes and stuff. They've all
Yeah,
got a point, but rather than just illustrate something in a dry way, if you can make it fun,
yeah,
people enjoy it
yes,
more and they get the information. You know? And I think for martial artists, sometimes we're so serious that we don't want to admit that we enjoy what we do. I mean, you know, it's no, we've got to stand there looking all dour and serious. You know, we can smile, we
oh
can have
yeah.
jokes, and still take it seriously and make progress. You know, it doesn't need to be boring.
Oh no, I totally agree. And I mean, and when you do that too, it gives that human element to everyone. You know, it breaks the ice, and you know, we call in the education world, like we call it. Well, not only the education world, you've heard the term icebreakers, right? So I mean, these are great icebreakers, you know, for everyone. It just levels the playing field. I mean, it's got to be that way, man. I find, you know, when you teach that way, and when you go to seminars where people are doing that too, it just makes you want to come back and makes you want to go back to your own practice and just keep playing too, right? I mean, oh,
Yeah.
for sure. So the next thing, I wanted to talk about some of your products and some of the things that you're doing. So the first thing is, I really like your website, and I've spoken to you about that before. I've been, my apologies, I haven't been as active. There was one point, I don't know if you remember, like about at least 10 years ago, I was really active on there and putting all kinds of stuff on there. And I had a YouTube channel too way back called Real Martial Arts. But I took it down because you know, it's a touchy thing. Like me being in the public light as a school teacher, you get a lot of student trolls, and you know, they come on there, and you know, they twist things around, and they take pictures of snapshots of you, and like, you know, and manipulate things. It's
I
just
can imagine.
crazy. So it's nuts, man, being a teacher and doing this. And so I'm taking a risk even just doing this stuff, but I make a really conscious effort, you know, to keep things clean. And you know, I don't really swear on here, and I don't talk about anything bad, and you know. So but anyway, your website was amazing back in the day, and then I've seen, and that I think I remember. So by the way, the website is iainabernathy.com. Okay, I believe you have a suffix .co.uk.
Yeah,
but
.co.uk. Yeah, so the .com will
yeah,
guide you to the .co.uk. Either works. Yeah.
correct. Yeah, I tested that out. But I'll put the links in the description below, guys, and I'll mention it throughout this discussion. But yeah, so I find a huge evolution in that website. Like it's changed since the last 10 years, and it's just gotten better. I noticed it's a great network for information, and it's super organized with all the different categories. If you could just tell us a little bit about your website and some of the features on there that, you know, we would benefit from, go ahead.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I'm not taking credit for anyone's work. I am not the most technically gifted of people. Well, my iPad failed in the first 30 seconds of being online, so there's your proof, right? And my web guy, Richard Barnes, good friend of mine. Richard has said I'm the world's best beta tester. Chris, who does my app with me, tells me the exact same thing. So the layout of the app, the website was all Richard Barnes' thinking. So way back when he built it, we talked about it, and he was the guy who kind of laid it all out. So the sections on articles and podcasts and videos and stuff. But I think the most useful part is the forum, because there's a good community of people around there. And we set from the start, I said, I want this to be like how people will hopefully conduct themselves within the dojo. So they can laugh and joke and they can disagree and they can debate things, but I didn't want any name calling, anybody getting heated, any of that immature stuff that the internet is rife with. We're just not having it. And I've just not. Are you still there? I take the point. There we go. There we are.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
We're good.
Yeah. So he and because we've had that ethos, then the people who tend to join tend to have already bought into that idea. So we've only had to kick a handful of people off in all the time we've been doing it. So
Ian, I don't mean to cut you. Ian, I don't mean to cut you. Can you either position your phone so it's okay, hold on, right? No. Hold on 1 second. Move. No, now you're off the screen. 1 second. Maybe there's something. Hold on. There's something I can do. 1 second. Let me just jump in there and.
That's because the Twitter notification came up and I went to knock it off. So I'll keep my hands.
Oh, we're good.
Myself.
We're good. Thanks, Ken. Yeah. Ken just fixed you. Ken fixed
you. Thank you, Ken.
Ken is a rock star. Okay, check out KENFU TV. Ken Knight, check him out. He's awesome. He's the backbone behind this. So thank you, Ken. So yeah, you're looking good now. You're back on the screen. I'm going to transition you. Perfect. Awesome. Woohoo.
So for the forum, we have the number of readers eclipses the number of contributors. So, but it is very popular, with people who read it, because again, there's that many really good people who've just gravitated around it, share ideas, upload videos. It's great. I learn loads.
Oh no, for sure. No, for sure. I can testify to that. I'm not just saying that. I'm a product of that, because you've invited me along with tons of others and promoted all of our stuff. And I mean, I think it's safe to say that the forum is great as everyone else being in there, right?
Definitely. Lovely community that's formulated around it, and a nice mix of people as well. People who've trained for years, people who've not been training for long, but that dialogue tends to produce really good content, I find. So it's always one of my favorite things. Love reading it.
Yeah, and me too. Now that we've speaking, it's going to give me more motivation to get on there some more. But it's my big thing about these forum things is this respectful talk and moderate. I hope that you don't have to moderate out too much negativity, because you're going to get that. I mean, I've the brief exposure that I've had to this online stuff is I've stumbled across haters, and I've stumbled across people not understanding things. So here's my question to you. I just didn't really plan this. It just came out. How do you moderate? What's your key thing in moderating and keeping a general respectful tone online with your material like that? How do you maintain that?
Well, we've got a set of rules on there, but But I also, if people stick to the topic and they have to make a reasoned argument, that makes it polite. So I've got nothing on mine. It's empty now as well. But when people simply do that thing of you're wrong and you're an idiot and I'm right, and it's a pointless conversation. So I always like the dialogues where you've got two people who fundamentally disagree, but if they disagree respectfully, I think the content that's produced from that is often very useful, no matter what conclusion you ultimately reach. So the thought has always been the thought has always been is this needs to be useful for a reader, and I've had the same philosophy away from my website as well. So on YouTube and everywhere else, when I'm writing, if I'm having a discussion or a debate with somebody, if I'm thinking that we're acting in a very friendly way and we're just kind of disagreeing on points, but the information that's coming out is useful, then that's great. The only time I ever got enough is when they start to kind of it gets personal or heated or illogical.
Yep. No, I totally agree. I picked up on the disagreeing respectfully. I mean, that to me, the whole character piece speaks millions. You know, like as a school teacher, you know, that's a big part of my, how can I say, it's part of my teaching, and it carries over to the martial arts too. I mean, the whole, you know, everyone's gonna see something in their way, rightfully so, because we all have different backgrounds and upbringings and this and that. And I think, you know, your forum promotes that respectful sharing and collaboration. So right on.
Well,
Keep it
that's
going.
the aim. I think for sometimes as well, in my mind, you can respectfully disagree. In some people's
Yeah.
minds, the fact that you disagree is disrespectful. You know what I mean? It's almost like cult-like
Yeah.
thinking, you know, which you see too much of in the martial arts as well. So, and I sometimes find myself on the receiving end of that. People go, "Oh, you're not very respectful." I think, no, I have been respectful. I mean, I've said this. I've been online now for year dot. Right, there's 20 years worth of material I've put out. I would challenge anyone to find anything where I've ever said anything negative about any individual. It's not there.
Yeah.
I've never done it. Now, I've said that I think ideas are bad and impractical and illogical, and I've explained why. I haven't just thrown it out. But I
Yep.
never get to the level of debate. And like, 'cause to me, it's just bad debate anyway, as well as being bad manners.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know what? You capture more people that way. You build your network, in my opinion. You know, when you're honest and open and just basically allow for people's voice to be heard. And like, you know, my take is this. You know, everyone's going through some sort of struggle. You know, with themselves, with someone else, with the relationships, with work, and you know, I think we just need to level that playing field just by telling everyone, look, man, I got you. I understand. I respect what you're going through, and you know, I respectfully agree to disagree, and you know, and if I clearly see you doing that, and I'm trying to. It's not easy though. I'm going to be honest. It's not easy. It's not easy sometimes, you know, to maintain that and to push that because you know emotions get in the way. But
Yeah.
I think, you know, like I'm 51 now, so I'm a little bit more mature now in the sense that I know enough to pull away from, like, as soon as I see and feel, you know, like I'm getting hot, or you know, if I'm you know, the emotions are welling up, you know, there's a time for timeout, and that's when I revisit. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and that's it. They're my two checks, right? So I always think is this debate producing usable content? So anyone reading through it, is it useful, or is it just regurgitating the same things? Is it useful
Yes.
content? The
Yes.
other one that you realise where is if you realise that the other person is at a point where nothing will change their mind. So you know, you can ask them, you know, is there anything I could say that would change your position on this? And if it's no, there is no point in having that dialogue because they're not having a realistic dialogue. They just want to demand conformity from you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And my thing is if I think I have a good idea and I think it'll help people and I want to share that idea, then the idea has to have its own legs. So I'll present the idea and then people can take shots at it. And if it survives that, then people go, that looks like a good idea. You know,
Yeah.
so if other people are scared of doing that or they don't want to do it or they try and dodge it, that generally suggests to me that their ideas aren't that solid and they probably know it to a degree as well. But but it's part of it as well. If you put stuff out, you're going to get people who take pot shots, and you do get people who just love the fact that they can emotionally get a reaction. Yeah, well, then that's where the mischievous part of me comes out, and I have to watch that because sometimes I just like to play with that a little bit, and I shouldn't. So I have to kind of I'm stepping back here.
Just so that you're comfortable, is the temperature in your car okay? Like, do you want to open the window? Is it noisy out there?
No, I've got a crack in the door, and the breeze is perfect. I'm good.
Do you have water? Are you hydrated?
Yeah, no, I'm good. So I look like a dog left in the car. I'm fine. I'll survive.
Okay. No, because I can basically take over for a bit for you to go get your water or take a break, and then we can come back.
No, honestly, I've got the door open a little bit. It's fine. I'm good.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah,
thank you
I'm
for
okay
thinking
too.
of me though.
No worries, man. I made sure I was prepared too. Like the only thing is I'm drinking coffee, so I might have to go to the washroom, but I'm gonna try to hold it.
I'll monologue while you go.
Yeah, exactly. But I've got a kind of like a scripted bunch of ideas, but to respect the viewers out there, I've got the feed out right now. I know you can't see that, Ian, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some of the, and we've got a lot of people on here, so that's good. So thank you so much, guys.
Yeah,
For
thanks
coming
everyone.
on.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, so some shout outs. Les, how you doing? Karate Kata Bunkai, how's it going? John Titchin, KENFUTV, Ken Knight. Woohoo! Thanks again, Ken, for being my backbone here, for our backbone here, technical backbone. What's it? Aussie Ninja, not sure who that is, but Brian Bates is on. Hey, Brian. Terry Gilling. I had the pleasure to meet these guys when I came down to see John. I did a small little seminar there. I don't know if you knew about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty nice. You know, when I do these things, it's more of a camaraderie thing. I like to go out and just meet different people. So it was good fun, and I met all these guys, some of these guys that were on here, like Brian and Harry and all these guys. All right, so we have some comments and questions that I'd like to share with you. One of them was from Jerry McLean. I don't know if you remember that name. Jerry, he's got This Karate Life, I believe. He's got a channel called This Karate Life.
Yeah, we met.
Great guy.
Yeah, good guy.
He loves your stuff. He loves your stuff. I spoke to him. I actually met him. I went down to see the Karate Culture guys in Texas. I stayed with Michael there. Michael Aaron. He's the founder of that organization, and I stayed with him. And then I met this gentleman over here, and he has a question. He says he always wondered why you never collaborated with Lee Morrison of the Combatives World.
Well, me. This is the thing. Me and so I've got a really good photograph which I'll have to share of me and Lee when we were both a lot younger at a BCA training course before Lee started throwing out all his material before I did. So I've known Lee quite a long time because in the late 1990s, the British Combat Association courses, I was there and Lee was always there. There was something about his presence even then. So we haven't really talked much in recent years, but I really like his stuff, you know. So it's no reason why I wouldn't. But again, Lee's doing his thing, and I guess I'm doing mine. But we have very different styles of delivery, though. I once got a compliment when I was teaching the US, and someone said, "You're the only British guy who never swears a lot on camera." So I thought, I wonder who you could be referring to. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Okay, so that was that one. Let's see. I'm scrolling through some here. Daniel Marino. I think you know him because he's met.
I know Daniel really well.
Yeah, great guy. We've been collaborating, talking, and this and that. He's got a good mind and direction on what he's doing. He says
podcasting even great as well.
He says here, even in the last 5 years that I've been involved in the practical karate movement, I've seen a huge increase in the number of people involved. Where do you guys think it's all going? So go ahead. I'll leave that up to you. You can answer.
The one thing I'm always mindful of is there's certain things I can watch, so I can see, like for example, similar like web traffic increasing, and I can see followers increasing. I can see that style of content getting more and more popular. And I can certainly see when I was traveling on the seminars and stuff, you certainly see more people showing up and more requests for them. So, but I'm also aware that the danger is, of course, I'm moving the circles that I'm moving, so I might be getting a slightly skewed view because I spend all my time with practical karate. But I'm pretty confident based on the things that I can be sure about that, and I think that he's probably right. I think it's been a slow increase, but I think over the last 5 years or so, it's starting to really rock it up. And I've always said, you know, I think you give it another 5 years, providing we're still allowed to train holding one another. Viruses permitting. I think it'll be the mainstream view. I hope that in like maybe 20 years, people look back and they go, you know, karate got a little bit weird for a few decades, but it's now back on track and it's back being what it should be, a respected martial art, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you for that. We've got another question for Harry Gilling. I think you know him as well. I think he's in Brian's club. How has age? I like this question because if you don't mind, I'll answer. I like to put my 2 cents in there too at some point. but I definitely want this is definitely catered to you, I think. So how has age changed your training and outlook in the martial arts?
Recently,
Yeah.
because I've probably been in a state of denial for 15 years, where I'm still trying to train like I did when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
And then what started happening was I started to get shoulder injuries with the ones I started to
Yes.
notice. My daughter just walking past the car there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and so over the last maybe 12 months, I've, and that's, we're talking that recent. In the last 12 months or so, I've started to realize, right, where I used to see my body as it was my enemy. So if my body couldn't do something, I will make it do it. Whereas now I'm going to realize that we need a slightly better relationship. So I need to listen to my body when it talks to me. Otherwise, I'm going to ruin the longevity. So there's certain, I listen to my body more. I accept that there's this, because I was still chasing personal bests I set in my 20s, 18 months ago.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
and realizing that, you know, I am now very close to 50. My mission now is to be the fittest 50-year-old I can be.
Right on, brother.
I'm not trying to be.
I'm joining
I'm
you
not
on
trying
that.
to be
I'm joining you on that.
Ian in his 20s. But the thing is, as well, that
Yeah.
Ian in his 20s wasn't as experienced as me and didn't know as much as me. So
Yep.
you know, so I still think my karate overall is better, even though that younger Ian was more physically capable than maybe than I am. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, but you know, the younger Ian. I mean, if you didn't have that spunk, I mean, you wouldn't be who you are right now, right? I mean, I feel the same way. Like I'm 51 right now, and injuries is your best friend in a way because it teaches you a lot of things. Like I've done karate for a long time. Currently, the home that I'm at right now, like the training place that I gravitate more towards is. I train out of an MMA gym, and my coach, he's very holistic. So like he understands my karate background. So it's cool. He adapts a lot of the things that I've done. He doesn't know kata and all that kind of stuff, but he really understands biomechanical movement and principles, and it's really cool. He actually helps me with my karate through an MMA format, but the thing is, in that kind of environment, oh man, like. I think I'm the oldest student there. There's guys there that are like, oh man, I think the average age there is like 20. And I'm sparring guys and training with guys, even just drill sequences with guys that are preparing for fights and this and that. And oh man, I've learned to pre-tap. I've learned to like tap out early. I've learned to like go light. And I don't know. I'd like your opinion on that. Like, in terms of training partners and this and that. At being my age or I should say our age, I mean, I pick and choose now who I want to train with because, like you said, like just to point out what you said, I like the word you said, it's training longevity. I liked how you said that. Like I think martial arts is a marathon, man. So, picking your training partners, if you would like to talk about that, like I pick and choose guys that are not going to hurt me, guys that want to help me grow and vice versa. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I did the same. I mean, I look at like Peter Constantine, who's one of my main instructors, mentors. Peter's in his 70s and still super crazy fit. And it's because he's always trained smart. He trains hard, but smart, smart with it. So it's the same thing. I can't think of. I don't think amongst my circle I haven't got anyone that I wouldn't train with. So maybe I've just been lucky there. But if I did have somebody who was not able to kind of train safely, then I'm not going to risk busting my knee up because some guy can't control his emotions or his technique or anything like that. I want to be doing this till the day I drop. Like Peter Constantine said, he goes, I want to die mid-roundhouse. I think that's a great ambition. I'll share that.
You actually, since we're talking about Peter Constantine and stuff like that, if you could just quickly talk about, say, these two people, I wrote this down, Jeff Thompson, Peter Constantine, and the BCA. If you can talk, because I know that you've associated and affiliated with them, and if you can tell me who they are and the influences they've had on your training and organization.
Yeah, so this was like so again we're probably talking like 97, 98, maybe around that kind of time. So late 1990s. that was when Jeff Thompson, who was a bouncer for 10 years in Coventry, he started writing a series of books about how traditional martial arts in general, weren't specific enough to deal with the needs of self-defense. That stuff really resonated with me. And him and Peter Considine set up an organisation called the British Combat Association, which now has a world wing as well, a World Combat Association, both of which I'm heavily involved with. So those two guys still very much love the martial arts and all that they give, but the emphasis of that group was, if you're going to claim functionality in self-defense, these are the things you need to have in place that most don't. So Jeff is he's a very successful writer. He's taken a bit of a step back from publicly teaching the martial arts and stuff now. Peter's still very much active. You know, again, he's the head of the BCA, the WCA as well. And then again, that we're talking about the shift to the more pragmatic karate. The BCA was originally set up to be a self-defense focused group. So I joined that while I still had all my affiliations to the karate group. But Peter told me, he says, we suddenly realized the membership was what he called disenfranchised traditionalists. So it was martial artists who wanted to do things in a more practical way, but found their own groups were too restrictive. So I struggle now to think. I can't think of anybody, you know, that you get in the UK who is not part of the BCA or a friend of the BCA's that's teaching karate of this type. You see, so we've just all kind of communicated, and that was because of Jeff and Peter kind of dropped the bomb, and I kind of caught the wave that resulted from it, you see. So I was, but yeah, I've been hugely influential on me and martial arts generally, I think.
Yeah, I came across Jeff Thompson's stuff. I mean, oh my gosh, like about 20 years ago, maybe even longer than that. His whole Animal Day concepts and all these kind of things. I just the methodologies. Like I went through a part of my martial art training where I'm going to be honest, guys. In front of the whole world here, there was a point in my training where I thought karate was useless, and it's only because my lack of knowledge and my I was reaching a plateau, as I mentioned earlier, and so I kind of gravitated towards the reality-based stuff, the RBSD world, and I came across Jeff Thompson's work, and I don't know if you heard. I think you know this man. He's a Canadian man too, Richard Dimitri. Yeah, Richard Dimitri.
Don't know him personally, but I'm well aware of his work. Yeah.
Right, and one of actually there was an anthology that oh my gosh, what's his name? It's a U.S. Oh man, I'm doing a brain fade here. It was an anthology. Oh man, it's a red book. It's called Fighters Fact.
Yeah,
book.
Lauren Christensen. Lauren Christensen.
Thank you. Yeah,
I
have that book.
I know the book. Yeah.
Yes, you're in there. You're in there.
Yeah, I'm the second chapter. My face is getting
Correct.
stamped on the cover.
Yes. I love that book. I've got I think there's Fighters Fact book 1 and 2, and then there's the solo training series. Anyway, where was I going with this? Oh man, I lost my train of thought here.
You're talking about Jeff
Richard Dimitri.
Yeah.
Yes, Richard was in that. And you were in that. There were, I think, Chris Wilder, I believe, was in that. Lawrence Kane. Lots of some really cool material. So at that point in my life, I kind of went towards the reality-based stuff, and that's when I didn't think about kata anymore, and I just started looking at the works of these guys. But then, I looked at their backgrounds, and I'm thinking, these guys are all karate guys. A lot of these guys are karate guys, and they're talking about taking kata as a tool. So I'm thinking, oh man, kata as a tool. I never thought about it that way. I used to think of kata as just like, that's the way to do it. That's, a very stringent, alphabetic kind of way to do it. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. Jeff Thompson, I agree. He kind of revolutionized my thinking, and
his first book was like a brilliant book, but it was a series of stories about his time working the door called Watch My Back. And his first instructional book was one called Pavement Arena. So in that Pavement Arena book, there is a chapter on kata and how useful kata can be. But it's like anything else; it's useful or useless. It can be both. Depends what you do with it, So I think sometimes people go, kata's useless. I go, okay, what do you mean by kata? Because I may agree or disagree. We need to define terms,
Yes. And I mean, like, since we're talking about kata, I mean, you know, I don't mean to, like, if I were to say that kata, okay, let me just get to the point. To me, kata is kind of like a toolbox of how could I say, of kihons. It's just a bunch of tools, and it's delivered, downloaded to us, you know, by the masters. It was kind of like the masters' internet, so to speak, at the time, their delivery system to get ideas and concepts really out there. And, you know, we don't really have an instructional manual, really. We're just kind of like, you know, at the mercy of our teachers and our own innovation and creativity. And like, I know how you train kata, because I see how it is. And it's, I just wanted to share, like, for me, a lot of it is trial and error. A lot of it is testing. A lot of it is sparring and live drilling. And sometimes incidentally, you know, when I incidentally, just from cross training with other people, you know, I find connections to my kata. So, like, for example, when I do a lot of boxing and sabat, and those two arts, I fell in love with them only because of the delivery system, you know, the striking delivery system, the dynamic footwork, and just the, like, so that's boxing. And then the sabat, for me, I fell in love with because of the rhythms and the timings. And so, you know, yes, it's sport, but, you know, you can easily adapt all of that stuff, you know, in a very short range in a self-defense context. So if you can, like, share, you know, that leads me to my next question, cross training. What's your thoughts on cross training, pros and cons?
Yeah, I think it can be an incredibly useful thing so long as you're aware of what your objective is. So, so for example, whenever I've done it, I've done so fully understanding that I'm doing this art. Like, okay, so I'll do the judo. So I went to judo to improve my understanding of throwing, to help me improve the throwing that was already present within the karate. When I go into the judo, I don't want to be that guy who always goes, yeah, but in karate we would do this, or I would do, you know.
Right.
So I walk in, okay, I'm never going to be that guy. So I go, right, I'm going to learn judo. And I must admit, like, you know, and I can love it, all kinds of stuff. But for example, techniques for the sport of judo, like turning a guy from his belly onto his back, very important for judo, irrelevant for anything outside of the world of judo. You know, I mean, you know, you would never use them, but I still learn all of that stuff. And then you go, right, okay, what part of that pot fits with the objectives of the karate? So if I come back to my karate guys and went, look, okay, here's a way we can turn a guy's belly onto his back, they go, well, why would we do that? Surely, from a fighting point of view, surely it's better he's on his belly. And from a self-defense point of view, why am I rolling around on the ground anyway? If I can control him, I can get up and get out of there, you know. So I think cross training can be useful, but it's not just a matter of taking everything from every source. Yeah, I think you've got to be careful. This is the objective of my training. What elements can I take from other ones that I can recontextualize into it? And if you can do that, it's massively useful. And it's not just the techniques either. It's training methods and all kinds of stuff. You can gain so much from studying systems. Yeah.
I love how you said that. Like, I was just thinking, you know, so if I were to summarize and just add on, I think we need to be surgical in our choices. You know, when we pick a particular art to cross train in, you got to know your why. Like, so for me, I mean, I'm very surgical when I associate or train with something. You know, I want to know there's a reason for it. I mean, and one of the reasons sometimes is just to hang out with some friends that are, you know, I might not ever use it again. I just want to just hang out, right? But it's a combination of both. Like, so for me, like, I love boxing. I love everything about boxing. I love savat, submission grappling, and you know, despite all the bashing that people have done with Krav Maga, there's some, like, you know, there's good and bad and everything. I really love Krav Maga for its synthesis, like the way they've synthesized a lot of the stuff that you and I have been doing for years. You know, like, they put it together in a very, very quick, easy to pick up kind of format. And so I love that. I love the Chinese martial arts, like especially the Southern styles, like Wing Chun and Praying Mantis. And so, like, when I train with those players, I surgically get in there and I want to clean up, say, let's just say if I were to train with a Wing Chun man. And by the way, I have a lot of good friends that are Wing Chunners and Kung Fu guys. And when I go in and train with those guys, I'm going in there for two reasons. I haven't seen them in a while, and reason number two, to strategically and surgically pick up an attribute, and like Wing Chun, they love to do that center line, piece, and they've got like the Fuk Sao, and the Larp Sao, the pulling and grabbing. And so when I see all that kind of stuff, I'm thinking immediately my head's exploding, and I'm making all these interconnections to Hikite. I'm thinking of center line striking. I'm thinking crashing and bashing. I'm thinking Naihanshi, but I'm looking at it from a Wing Chun lens to inform my karate. So I don't know, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, well, again, Peter Considine, he studied Wing Chun in Hong Kong. He's, again, for the same reason, he felt the karate as he was doing it at the time, which was very full contact, sport-based stuff. So he felt it lacked that kind of close range element. So he goes to learn Wing Chun. And then again, when he contextualizes it back into the karate, you see, it doesn't all. So if you ask Peter what his Wing Chun is, he'll say it's adapted Wing Chun. Because there's certain elements that don't transpose across due to the different ways that you move, the different striking, the different objectives. The other thing that all martial arts do as well, which we have to be mindful of, is that all of them have an inward focus at a given point. So, like, if you go to, karate guys start wanting to outfight karate guys. Taekwondo guys want to out-kick other Taekwondo guys. Wing Chun guys want to out-trap other Wing Chun guys. So at a certain point, you go, unless I was playing this game with a willing participant, the skills are now no longer valid. Same groundwork, same again. So, like, if you think of high-level groundwork you find in judo or Brazilian jiu-jitsu, unless you say, I want to have a bout with this person, isn't really relevant. So, again, it's what's relevant to your training goal. But I'm with you completely. Like, so long as you have a why, it doesn't matter what that why is. So it could be, I find this fun, it's interesting, it's enjoyable, the people that do it with the fun. So long as you've got a clear why, and I think what we're really bad for, and we do ourselves a disservice with this, is we always feel that self-defense is the gold standard and it's the only valid thing. So people go, would this work in the street, whatever that's supposed to represent? And if it doesn't, then there's somehow something wrong with it. Well, I do all kinds of things where I go, and I know this is not relevant to self-defense, but I know what is relevant to self-defense. So, this fancy kicking thing, I love it for what it is. I don't need to push it in over here where it doesn't belong. Because if I do that, I'm doing a disservice to the other side of the martial arts, and I'm making myself my self-defense less effective by putting things in there that have no business being in there. So I think so long as you've got a clear idea of why you're doing it and you can contextualize, it's all good.
Yeah, no, I have nothing but smiles because, when you tell me this stuff, I'm telling you, like, oh my gosh, in fact, all of the guys that are really close to me in my network of martial artists, they speak the same tune. I'm just gonna give a shout out to one of my JKD friends there, Mark Medeiros. We had what you just said kind of took me back to a conversation we had, and he basically says, know your why. Just know your why. You got to know your why. And when you do that, then that opens you up to training with so many people, on a respectful level, and vice versa. And if both sides kind of know their whys, then I think that's how we can healthily, promote martial arts. Like, like the whole JKD. Like, to me, I find like the stuff that you're doing, and the stuff that all your associates are doing, it's kind of like, and not to belittle it, I'm just kind of making a connection to it. JKD, we're JKDing the heck out of what we're doing. We're absorbing what is useful. We're rejecting what is useless, and we're adapting and making things our own. Right?
Yeah. Which I agree, but I think that concept. I mean, Bruce Lee obviously expressed it beautifully, but what remind me? You've got the 3 words on your Karate Unity logo. What are those again? So you've got just put it up there. So I can't quite read it. Yeah. So there we go. Learn, create, and I can't quite make the last one out.
Liberate.
Liberate. Right. So that's the same thing. And I've heard it's that we are in traditional Japanese martial arts. We have that shu-hari idea: copy, divert, transcend. When my daughter, when we were looking at the nursery we're going to take her to, I'll walk into the classroom and the teacher's got written on the board: imitate, innovate, invent.
Yes.
So I went, that's it again. So I think any process of learning, you take the knowledge that someone else has already acquired for you, We don't need to start from scratch with every generation. No field of study does that. You then test it, empirically see what works for you, see how you can improve on it, and then you make your own contributions to it. So, and I think that this is where traditional martial arts often go wrong, is they get stuck in the first phase. It's copy, copy, copy. What do you mean you want to change it? That's blasphemy. You know, and that's never the way it was supposed to be. The irony is as well, people go, I want to keep my style pure. And you go, well, where did your style come from? Well, this master invented it. Well, he didn't keep things pure, did he? Because he went, okay, I'm going to call this. He's going to put a label on it. So that cycle should be, we should all be JKDing it, because it's fundamental to all martial arts, I think, or should be.
Yeah, I mean, 100%, 100%. It's transferable to that learning paradigm. I mean, I've had 2 careers in my life. This is my last career, I hope. My first career was I was a software developer. I would develop code solutions, in particular barcoding solutions for supply chain management and stuff like that. It was a really stressful job. And then, then I migrated into teaching, and I've been doing that for the last, I'd say 14 to 16 years ish, right? The reason why I mention that is because all throughout those two careers, there was lots of learning involved, industry-based learning that I had to do, learn about various softwares and engineering and development protocols and all these things. And now with teaching, we had a lot of PD, a lot of personal development on, teaching methodologies and how to even learn and teach, learning and teaching. Like, teaching is learning and learning is teaching. That's the way I see it. But the point is, the shuhari concept, to me, like, now that I'm aware of it in the martial art world, I mean, I'm just saying, like, duh, of course, that's how things should be. You and think about it, like, from a human development point of view. I mean, look, we're babies. We can't express ourselves in language, so we cry and this and that. But once we learn a language, or once we learn some biomechanical principles of walking and this and that, there's testing. There's testing of that. Like, we'll walk a certain way, we'll fall. And then naturally as a human being, we'll learn from that. We'll get hurt, we'll cry, and we'll naturally as a human being make adjustments, right? So to me, this process you're telling me is getting me excited to share this, because I think the martial art world needs to be like, that needs to be pushed out there. Like, look, let's go back to how we are naturally,
But the thing I find, and that's bang on that, and I love the analogy of the children as well. That really works, I think. But there's this strange idea that it's somehow, especially in the traditional world, that you're saying you know better than the previous generation. So who are you to question Master such and such? Well, I'm not. The John of Salisbury, right? So there's a quote where he said, "If I can see so far, it's because I am as a dwarf standing on the shoulders of giants."
Nice.
Right? So and I think that's it. So if you can see a little bit further, it's not because you're a giant. It's because the previous generation have elevated you to a certain point. So modern day physicists are doing cutting edge research, but that's because the likes of Newton and Einstein did things prior. So we're not betraying our legacy, we're fulfilling it. I mean, how disappointed would you imagine if Newton could come back alive today and he can't wait to see all the new scientific discoveries? He says, well, what have you done? Nothing. We have preserved Newton Rue. Newton Rue was perfect. We thought you'd want it kept the same. And I can't believe any of the old masters would want it kept identical, because they didn't keep it identical. Funakoshi said it. Times change, the world changed, and martial arts must change too. So that's traditional. The idea of traditional being unchanging is not. That's a pseudo-tradition. That's modern. The true tradition changes. The true tradition evolves. I always liken it to a tree, right? So a tree needs strong roots, but the whole purpose of those strong roots is to give it grounding, but also to encourage new growth. It draws the nutrients for new growth from the roots. So that's what we should do in our karate. I fulfill my traditional roots by producing new growth. We should all do it.
Oh, that is really well said. I concur. That's at least I concur. Okay. The thing is, since we're talking about masters and stuff like that, I figured I'll throw a fun little question out there. Okay, so we're gonna play a game of let's be the master. Okay, so by the power invested in me in Karate Unity, Iain Abernethy now is Choki Mutubo. Okay, Choki Motibu. Chalky Motabu. I always mess up that name. How do you say it properly? Motabu?
The Cumbrian accent, I would say Motabu, but either's fine.
Motabu.
Everyone knows it.
Okay, so Iain, you're Chalky Motabu, all right? And my question is, okay, let's just say let's just say for some reason you wake up in the morning and on your mat, on your tatami, you see that you have a cell phone. So what cell phone would it be? Would you be an Android user or would you be an Apple user, and why? And frame that around Chalky. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, so this thing, I've never had an Android device.
Okay.
Right. So I've always been an iPhone user. And the reason I like the iPhone is from my point of view, is it's simple. You've got the same device and the same software running on it, you see, whereas with the Android things, it gets a little bit more complex. So I'd have to think. I can't actually. Would you like the simplicity of the iPhone? Would you like the simplicity of the iPhone, or would you like the versatility of the Android? I'll go iPhone. Yeah.
You think you'd be an iPhone guy?
Yeah, I think so, because it does exactly what it says without much complication. You know what I mean? So I think that would be the thing. It's simple and direct, and his karate was very much that way. You know what I mean? Straight ahead, full steam ahead. So
nice. Good answer. Okay, so we've got it's 11:12 right now. We had some technical issues, but then we kind of recuperated. We're almost at that 1 hour mark. I'm willing to basically take a few questions. Let's take a look, and then we'll finish off and close. Unless you want to speak a little bit longer, it's totally up to you. But
no,
okay,
whatever's no, I'm good.
Okay, so we got a whole bunch of people coming in more. Let's see here. And what's cool is there a lot of our guests here are talking to each other, which is nice. So Riz, pardon my pronunciation, Rice Clow says, coming from Wing Chun and Jiao Ga Kung Fu, we have many concepts, rules that we follow heavily, but I find ways in which they can be altered or broken. Do you have similar takes on your own training?
Yeah. So you've got a grand believer in principle-based learning, but principles will compete with other principles. So for example, one principle would be keep the enemy in front of you, but do not be in front of your enemy, unless you're going to do a shoulder throw. In which case, then the principles of leverage and rotation take over. So you can't adhere to all of them at once because it depends what you're trying to do. So there's definitely combative principles, physical principles, and so which one you use and how you use them depends on the objective. If you won, you did it right.
Let's see who else. See other questions. Lots of comments, a lot of chat among the people here, which is really nice. Thank you guys for doing all this. I really appreciate it. Lee Mullen says hi. John Kitchen's on here. I don't see any questions here. I think we've answered a lot of the questions. Let's see. Let me pick something here to finish off nicely. And I really don't want to finish off. I'm really enjoying this talk. For real. Like you don't understand. I mean, this is the first time I think I've ever spoken to you in person. Like this, right? And like I feel like I know you because I have your books.
We've conversed online for a long time.
And we converse through your forum, and I know guys that know you really well. Like Les knows you really well, and we're always talking about you, man. And kind of I said, no, man, you know what? I have to do this. I gotta hook up this at the Karate Unity channel. So I'm so excited.
I appreciate it. It's been fun.
No, absolutely. Okay, so let's finish off with this one. And then we got some closing remarks and we're good to go. So you've written a book on mental strength, which, by the way, I want to pick up because I'm really into this now. I think as a teacher, things like that, like bridging the gap of these kind of concepts, and just it's good mentoring, for students and for martial arts. So you've written this book. I'm just thinking it's a kind of a twofold question. What inspired you to write this? And I'm wondering how do you personally navigate through your highs and lows in life?
Yeah. So
if you're okay with that.
What inspired me to write it was this is Jeff Thompson. I would talk to Jeff a lot, and we would share our thoughts on the world, and people will know how insightful Jeff can be, and he just said, you need to write a book on some of the things you've just been talking to me about. So basically, Jeff told me to do it. So and I thought it'd be a challenge because I'd written martial arts books before, but that was the first kind of like mainstream book, if you like. So, but the inspiration was basically, do it, and I really enjoyed producing it too. So I'm going to make an audio version of it. The shutdown continues. That's one of the projects that I've had off for a while. So I'm going to try to produce an audio version of the book. But I also want to do a little podcast, a shorter one, about this navigating highs and lows, because I feel a lot of people are going through quite difficult times at the moment. People dying, people sick, people losing jobs. So at 50-odd years of age, all of us, pick up some little nuggets of wisdom along the way. Life's a good teacher like that. So in terms of like the laws, I think the key thing for me has always been, I talk about this week in my app, I put a video up, it's just to keep on going, is the first thing. Because there's that line from the Churchill says, if you're going through hell, keep on going. So sometimes, life can be really difficult and it can feel like it's crushing you. And it's okay to quit for a day if you need that day under the duvet where I can't, that's fine. But so long as at some point you go, right, okay, I'm just going to keep on going. And then the other thing I think is really useful is deciding on what is the best move I can make now, right? Because I'm a great believer in all these. The only time we have is now, right? And the instant I've done something, it's now a past event, and those past events develop a momentum. So for example, if I eat junk food every single day in every single now, there's a momentum of past event that will lead to health issues. So I create my own fate. You know what I mean? So and we all do that for good or for bad all day. Every single action you do creates a momentum that will drive you forward. So when you're in these dark times, it's like, what's the best move I can make now to get me to where I want to be? Now that best move might be get out of bed and get showered, or have something to eat, cook some food, depending on how bad you're feeling, right? But I think so long as you always do what's the best move I can make today, you're far more likely to get a successful outcome than not. You don't have to do everything in one go. It's these little things, and for me in these dark times, it's just doing the little things. I was talking on the thing as well. I think in these like, and anchoring, for me, my training is my anchor. So when there's turbulent seas and there's everything, I'll train. Becky tells me all the time, she can see I'm wound up about something or thinking something. She go, Iain, go train. And I hit the bag and do some cattle, throw some weights around, and I'm the Dalai Lama. I'm a different guy.
Sure.
Yeah, training has been a big thing for me. But that would be for the lows, you know what I mean? And for the highs as well, is like that enjoy them, because nothing is permanent, and that's for better or for worse. So the bit, when life is good, make sure you enjoy every single second of it, because it's not going to stay that way forever. And if life is bad, don't worry about it, because it's not going to stay that way forever. Right? Everything passes.
Amazing. Oh, my takeaways from your answer is basically live in the now. Live in the now. Go through it and enjoy the highs. Because life is so short, man. Oh man, I want to talk all day to you.
Just on that one as well. I just add on that, because I do like that phrase. People go like, live in the now, live every day as if it's your last. But if you truly did that, it would be your last day.
It would be. It would be.
Yeah. So yeah, it's realizing, like enjoy it, but that I think it's that thought of this idea of the now becoming the past event, and the momentum of past events is what determines your future. I think that can be a really useful way of thinking. It's certainly been very useful for me.
Amazing. Oh man, this has been great. Well, guys, we've come to an end to our show. Iain, thank you so much for your time. I hope the audience.
Thank you for organizing it.
Oh, thank you. I hope the audience enjoyed it as much as I did. And guys, don't forget to follow Iain for some amazing karate content on IainAbernethy.com and Iain Abernethy on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I'll put all of that information and all the plugs in there in the description. And once again, all of this will be pretty much available to you as soon as I click on this. It'll be all up there. And if you like this show and you want more content on functional karate and cross training, follow me on Karate Unity on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, and check out my website, which I just have up just recently, karateunity.ca. Thanks, guys. Chris Hanson here is signing out, and have a great day. Thank you, Iain. I really appreciate that. And
thank you, Chris. Thanks, everybody.
All right. pretty much done. Woo!